Alicia Butts with a CTV News update. President Trump says he and First Lady Melania have tested positive for the coronavirus. The news was announced last night in the form of a tweet from the president. It comes hours after word got out that senior White House aide Hope Hicks, who traveled with the president this week, tested positive for the coronavirus. The president and First Lady both say they are experiencing mild symptoms. Trump, who has long downplayed the severity of the pandemic, even calling it a hoax by Democrats, says they will quarantine in the White House. Governor Larry Hogan is again easing COVID restrictions. Among the changes, nursing homes and assisted living facilities that have had no active cases in the last 14 days can begin allowing indoor visitation. Capacity restrictions at child care centers can return to pre-pandemic levels. Meantime, as of yesterday, all of Maryland's school districts have submitted plans for some in-person learning. Hogan says most teachers want to go back.
I think there's a difference between teachers and the union, because we've been visiting schools all across the state where teachers are back in public schools and they are teaching kids, and the teachers are very enthused and excited to be back in there with their kids. And I hear from teachers every day who are dying to get back in the classroom. But the union obviously has taken a pretty strong position that in many cases they don't want to go back really ever until this whole thing is gone and until there's a vaccine. That's a pretty strident position.
We are a collective bargaining state, and we speak for the educators and the majority of the educators in a collective way, as a collective group. And for him to say that the only reason, or to imply that the only reason why we're not in school is because the educators don't want to go back, is ridiculous. We just don't want to die. It's that simple.
Dudley heads the local teachers union. A major development in the Breonna Taylor case. Recordings of grand jury proceedings have been released. 20 hours of proceedings from September 21st through the 23rd are now available to the public. Witness personal information has been redacted. Taylor was killed by Louisville police in a botched raid back in March. No officers were charged in her death, prompting national protest. Days after a video is posted showing a Bowie State University officer pulling a female student down a stairway, Maryland State Police are being called in. During a press conference this morning, Bowie State University president announced that Maryland State Police will conduct an independent investigation into this matter. This all stems from an incident that happened back in September in front of the student center. 3 officers and a security guard responded to a noise complaint. An officer asked for a young man's ID, but he refused. During the incident, which was caught on cell phone video, a female student was pulled by her sweater by an officer.
It has been alleged that the student struck the officer. After our review, we can find no evidence that the officer was struck by the female student. Following the incident captured on video, the student complied with requests from the officer. At no time was the student handcuffed or placed in restraints. Both the officer and the student reported no physical injuries at the time of the incident.
The officer involved in this incident has been placed on administrative leave. With a tougher hate crime law in effect in Maryland, First Lieutenant Richard Collins III's family is hoping to help other states. The Richard Collins III law took effect yesterday, which strengthens the state's hate crime law. Collins, a Bowie State University student, was stabbed to death in 2017 at the University of Maryland. Sean Urbanski was convicted of first-degree murder in the incident. However, a judge dismissed a hate crime charge against Urbanski. Now, with a tougher hate crime law and a new social justice alliance between BSU and UMD, Collins' mother is saying this is just the beginning.
Yes, we here in Maryland did something about our hate crime law, but there are states in the United States that don't have hate crime laws. So with our foundation and this alliance, that we can talk about and do something about that, because my husband and I believe that that's where the change needs to take place.
The new Social Justice Alliance between BSU and UMD will offer a series of classes, seminars, and an annual symposium encouraging conversations about racism. Immigrant rights groups are celebrating a victory in federal court against the Trump administration. A California court has placed a preliminary injunction on a regulation that would have basically doubled application fees for those applying for citizenship, permanent residency, or asylum. The ruling was supposed to go into effect today.
The fees cannot increase through this rule, and the current fees will remain as they are at the moment.
Now, it was my understanding that the plaintiffs said that these fees were arbitrary and were actually illegal and racist. Can you talk about that?
When USCIS originally proposed the regulation, there were a series of procedural defects and ways in which the agency went about proposing the rule that violated the Administrative Procedure Act. In addition to the defects, there's also substantive legal issues with the rule, including that it circumvents the purpose of the INA to provide those immigration benefits for people who are eligible for them. And then, as other courts have ruled, the head of USCIS, Ken Cuccinelli, has never been lawfully appointed to be able to direct that agency.
The National Partnership for New Americans has long called for immigration officials to reduce the backlog of applications. They say the backlog serves as a voter suppression tool that keeps would-be citizens from voting in the November election. Make sure you're counted. The census deadline is days away. More than 90% of Marylanders have filled out the 10-year count, according to the Census Bureau. Here in the county, about 70% have responded. The survey is used to determine congressional representation and federal aid.
Those dollars go towards schools, hospitals, WIC programs, Head Start programs, roadways. So again, it's based on the number of people living within the states. In some states and some communities, they have identified for every person missed, they're subject to lose out on $2,000 per person.
Litigation is underway to determine if the census deadline of October 5th should be extended. Anne Arundel election officials are warning residents about a voter suppression scam. Some people are reportedly going door to door offering to collect ballots in Anne Arundel. But officials say they don't pick up ballots in residential neighborhoods, and you should never give your ballot to a stranger. If you have questions or need assistance, you can call Arundel Elections Office at 410-222-6600. County police are investigating a fatal shooting in College Park. It occurred just after 5 yesterday evening in the 4800 block up Berwyn House Road. When police arrived on the scene, they found a man outside an apartment building suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He has been identified as 28-year-old Christopher Harrison of Camp Springs. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to call Crime Solvers at 1-866-411-TIPS. For the first time ever, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has declared October National Pedestrian Safety Month. It coincides with the region's Street Smart initiative aimed at reducing pedestrian deaths. Typically, when the days get shorter, the number of pedestrian accidents go up. Terry Bellamy of the county's Department of Public Works and Transportation offers these tips.
One of the things that we're stressing to the pedestrian and cyclists is this is a great opportunity to start wearing brighter clothes. I suggest even wearing reflective clothes as you bike and walk during this time of the year. Street Smart is very important. And we're asking our drivers, because in order for us to make our Vision Zero program work effectively, we need everyone to do their part. To drive their vehicle safely, to walk and ride their bikes carefully and cautiously. And we even starting to see some of these scooters in the community. And we just asking everyone to do their part in getting us to reduce the number of fatalities on our roadways.
You've probably seen him on TV as he rushes from one international disaster to the next. Jose Ramon Andres Puerta is a world-renowned Spanish-American chef who owns a chain of restaurants. In this week's Hispanic Heritage Month vignette, Patricia Balone features the humanitarian who you probably know better as Chef Jose Andres.
He was named one of Time magazine's most influential people in both 2012 and 2018. Jose Andres is an internationally recognized culinary innovator and chef, best-selling author, educator, television personality, and of course, a humanitarian. The pioneer of Spanish tapas in the U.S., he owns more than 30 restaurants across the U.S. and beyond, several of which have received Michelin stars. The naturalized citizen from Spain has been a tireless advocate for immigration reform. In 2010, he formed the World Central Kitchen, a nonprofit that provides solutions to end world hunger and poverty by empowering communities and strengthening economies. His team served more than 3.6 million meals to the people of Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria, and many Prince Georgians have had access to healthy meals during the pandemic thanks to his organization. Andres' work has earned him numerous achievement awards, including the 2015 National Humanities Medal, one of only 12 distinguished recipients. He was also awarded the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute's Medallion Award.
The Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation makes a formal commitment to the region's Hispanic business community. The agency and the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce signed a memorandum of understanding this week. The goal of the partnership is to bridge language and cultural gaps through programming and bilingual business initiatives. President Trump is considering Greenbelt National Park for his hero garden, and many local residents don't like it. Trump announced earlier this year that he wanted to create a park called the National Garden of American Heroes. It would feature statues honoring U.S. historical figures such as Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and Francis Scott Key. But Greenbelt Mayor Colin Byrd says many residents are opposed because of environmental issues. Byrd also says he's worried that the Heroes Park would not be inclusive.
You're not seeing Latinos, you're not seeing members of the Latinx community, you're not seeing members of the Native American community, and where you are seeing some African Americans, that is very limited in terms of the recognition of African Americans. You're seeing folks, frankly, who lean toward white and male and also conservatives.
Byrd says Trump should be focusing on the current public health crisis. When Maryland Circuit Courts resume jury trials on Monday, October 5th, things will look a bit different for those in attendance. Gone are the days of packing in jurors and sitting shoulder to shoulder in a jury box. Court officials say they are taking steps such as converting firehouses to jury rooms, conducting jury selection via Zoom, and having jurors sit and deliberate in courtroom spectator galleries. A task force looking into ways to deal with social distancing during the pandemic came up with a list of recommendations, including staggering times prospective jurors report to the courthouse or an alternate nearby location. The House of Representatives unanimously passes a $92 million bill to clear up the Chesapeake Bay, called America's Conservation Enhancement Act. The measure now moves to President Trump's desk for his signature. The bill passed the Senate 2 weeks ago, and advocates say they expect Trump to sign it. However, the president has tried to significantly reduce the program's budget 4 times. The legislation would reauthorize $92 million in annual funding through 2025. Can the Washington football team rebound from a poor performance against Cleveland last week? It's going to be a tough challenge as the team takes on the Baltimore Ravens at FedEx Field in Landover. The Ravens are one of the best in the NFL despite their recent disappointing loss to Kansas City.
They've got speed at receiver. They've got tight end they really love throwing the ball to. Very productive guy. They've got a big old offensive line. And they mix their personnel, so there are a lot of challenges. I mean, it's triple option football. I mean, it's you need to have your bases covered. These guys they present a lot of different things with formations and shifts and motions and personnel groupings, and then they're running some triple option, which you don't see every day in the NFL.
Yeah, we know we're playing a dynamic athlete, and we know he can beat us through the air and with his legs. So for us, we've got to trust in our preparation, trust the man next to you, and trust with the defense. If we do that, then we got to feel pretty good about ourselves. But right now, it's about getting to Sunday first. We got to take everything play by play and day by day.
We have to do a better job as offense moving the ball. We can't have penalties, mishaps, or we're not executing, and that's just fundamental football. And I'm going to make sure that I emphasize that this week of the details, how important things are to line up right, to make sure that we're aware of the play call, the stem of the release, or the where you line up in a play and in a formation, and the lineups, and moving in closer in a stack alignment, and understanding blitz protection. We got a lot of different coverages this week and different looks, and to understand that we have to be detail oriented in order to win games. We're a young team, and we can't overcome bad plays if we don't have enough football experience.
Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. on Sunday. Let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 47. Saturday, sunny with a high near 65 and a low around 48. Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 68 and a low near 53 degrees. Monday, mostly sunny. Showers are likely in the morning. Daytime temps reach a high near 67 and nighttime temps drop to 49. And now for our community calendar. Saturday's weather will be perfect for a fun bike ride with family and friends. Join State's Attorney Aisha Brayboy and her team as they ride for domestic violence awareness and prevention. The event is tomorrow, October 3rd. Bikers will meet at the Glendale Community Center at 8 a.m. and ride out at 8:30 a.m. Participants are encouraged to wear safety gear and the color purple. To register, go to purpleride2020.eventbrite.com. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. Enjoy your weekend and join us again on Monday. Have a good night and stay safe.